It's the Zach Martin Show here on New HD TV. We're with my friends from In Theory, Mike Mostert, along with Tony Covino. Welcome to the show. This is a first for us on many different fronts as we were under lockdown for the past few months, and we've learned how to utilize the latest technology, and we've all come up with really good ideas, and we're all creative. So, Mike, why don't you tell us what you've been working on since Mike and the Go-Go Tuner family, and how you got Tony Covino to be part of the project?
Oh, well, within the Go-Go record, we want to create a hard rock band. And, we're getting such a great reception out of the band. So Tony and I decided, how do we make a band in 2020? So essentially, I was going to bring Tony down to Muscle Shoals, and we were going to do an old school recording and where everybody was in the room, something that Zeppelin would do or the Beatles would do. And because of the pandemic, it wasn't going to happen. So, so basically I locked myself away and just wrote and was trying to be the best student that I could be, so I can bring my best foot forward, and from a creativity standpoint as a guitar player. And I have something like 60 or 70 pages of songs and song ideas. I just started working on my craft. And then when finally I was comfortable with some ideas, I would run them by Tony, and we started that process. And then I started being a real pain in the ass to Tony and working on his vocals. And, because at how I felt at this point is I thought we did good. When I say good, on the Go-Go record, I thought we achieved, it was good, but now I feel like good is no longer an option. So I really wanted us to be great. So I was pushing Tony very hard. I was pushing myself extremely hard, and everything from even like the little nuances of the production standpoint. And that's how that really sort of came about. And, we started putting it, and I think, in a lot of ways, the silver lining was the pandemic, because it really gave me 10, 12 hours a day of just practicing and learning my craft. And like I said, about 60 pages of songs. So really, if it's 60 pages, about it's 120 pages. And so by the time we were ready to go to the studio, we were ready. We were ready to go.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
we had something to say.
Yeah. See, I've been a big proponent of using as much time as possible, especially if you're a recording artist, to keep writing all the time. I'll tell you a tale. One time I thought Ed Sheeran, Ed Sheeran?
Yes.
Yeah. I thought he was my intern. Right. So we've had like 3 or 4 20-minute discussions plus, because he kept coming to the studios where I work in the city, but I'm on the sports station side, and being a classic rock guy, I really don't pay attention to any new artist. Right. So there he is. He's sitting there, and he's got a guitar. So I'm like, all right, let me go and say hi to him, because I recognized him, and I thought he worked for us. I thought he was one of our interns. I go, oh, so what do you got there? He goes, my guitar. I go, oh. Well, here's the only thing I could tell you. Just got to keep at it, and you got to keep writing. And he's like, well, all right, cool. I'm like, so I guess because of he respected his elder, I guess at that point, he nodded, and we had 3 or 4 conversations on 3 or 4 different occasions where I thought he was my intern. And then I found out, because my cousins got mad at me, that, don't you know who that is? That said Sheeran, and he's a famous recording artist. And so Ed and I have been friends ever since, because I treated him just like everybody else.
But I think he took your advice, didn't he?
Yeah, I guess so. But
you're really responsible for his career. That's what it is.
Yes, I am.
If it wasn't for you to tell him to keep on writing, he would have kept on writing.
Yeah, keep on writing. Keep at it. No,
That's right,
don't give up. Well, hey, listen,
you can do it.
No matter who you are, no matter what point of life you're at, you have to remind yourself, or be reminded, to keep at it. When you have a challenge in front of you, you have to say, okay, I got a choice to make. I can do nothing. I can sit here and mope. I can feel bad for myself. I can get all depressed, become self-loathing, blame other people, whatever it might be. My point being is, like, to take this time that we have under quarantine and use it to the best of our ability. And I appreciate the fact, Mike, that you were doing just that. And I think if you want to share what that meant to you on a mental level, of how you were able to get through this time that we are all experiencing in this country and throughout the world. Do you think that really helped you?
Well, I think it actually helped me become a better. I think Tony kicked the cat.
Yeah.
No, I think
Uh,
no, I think it I became because there's many things. I was I mean I won't get into what else I do, but with musically and business and life, it just I don't know if it made me better for sure. I think it pushed me. It pushed me where it was really forcing me, if that makes sense.
uh,
I think there was definitely a mental challenge to it. No different than, like, say, if you're going to go work out in the gym and you're on your 50th day and you're not really seeing progress, but you have to go and do it, and you have
right.
to keep that discipline. So in that case too, that helped me a lot. I think in the discipline. I think there's other aspects outside of that, which was very, I think, mentally taxing. As far as I feel like a lot of freedoms were taken away, if that makes sense. Or, as I mean, it's that was unusual. I
Yeah.
think I think I really learned that our freedoms are. I mean, our freedoms are fragile. Is one thing I learned, and I think the other thing I learned was time. Time is extremely precious. So
Right.
do everything you can with that time. But I think it definitely was taking its toll. Like, after a while, like I said, after it was probably on my 50th page of writing, I was just so ramped up to go into the studio. And in the studio, because of the pandemic, they wouldn't open the studio for me. I wanted to record. I wanted to record. We finally got the guy to let the assistant engineer help me finish out the demos by doing the drum loops and playing some bass. And I think that was another, in a way, like a blessing in disguise, because the kid ended up being the assistant engineer who just won a Grammy for the latest Rival Sons records. So for him to be my substitute rookie guy, he was definitely very, I think, also instrumental in shaping the sound.
All right, cool. Now we're going to talk to Tony in just a second. And as you know, one of my favorite products, and they're not a sponsor in any way, shape, or form, but I got to mention Dr. Pepper, because there's a shortage of Dr. Pepper in Texas right now. I don't know if you heard about this. It's a really sad state of affairs. I have extra cases that I'm willing to sell at exorbitant prices, because that's what Americans do. So if you need a cool, refreshing, sweet Diet Dr. Pepper, contact me.
So you do a little
I,
price gouging on the Dr. Pepper.
It's
I
the
might
American
reach
way.
out
You
to
gotta, you gotta price gouge. Well, where are you, Tony, right now?
I'm in New York, Long Island.
Oh, okay. You're
Yeah,
not too far from me.
I can't find Dr. Pepper. I drink that, so
I
I
could
can't
do a deal
find it.
for you. I have
All
extra
right,
cases of Diet Dr. Pepper.
I
So,
think
Tony,
he'll give you Dr. Pepper and some toilet paper.
that's a
no, I
combo.
don't give. I'm not giving that stuff out. You got to pay for it.
He's selling it.
Tony, where are you right now? What part of New York City or New York?
I'm in Nassau County. I'm
Oh,
in,
okay.
yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
about 40 minutes from
Yeah.
Manhattan.
So, would you say that, just to start trouble, are you an Islander fan or a Ranger fan?
I'm not a big hockey fan, but I'm an Islander fan when I am a hockey
Okay.
fan.
Mets or Yankees?
Mets.
Okay, of course. And the final one, Jets or Giants?
Dolphins.
Really? Oh, wow. You
Yeah.
you either I mean, you could easily, by answering that question as Dolphins, can
Yeah.
be in your area of Nassau County persona non grata no matter where you go. I mean, that's
Yeah,
just,
I'm hiding right now. So.
yeah, you're in seclusion.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your background in music. Where did you get your start? What are some of the other bands that you're associated with?
How I got my start, like, why did I want to be a singer or a
Yeah.
musician?
It's really up to you. I mean, I would
Yeah.
assume that you wanted to be a musician because it was free beer, Dr. Pepper, and girls.
Yeah, actually, in the beginning, it wasn't. It was I have my first cousin is Joey Franco. He's a pretty well known drummer. He was in a local band, the Good Rats at the time, back when clubs were when you can gig almost every day of the year. So I was always intrigued when we used to go to family parties and things that he was never there, and he was always doing something cool, and everybody was always talking about him, and I just became intrigued with that. Like I kind of wanted to do that, as well as my older brother Joey. When he was in high school, he was signed to Atlantic Records, and he's always, played bass and sang. And so I come from, like, yeah, not a musical family, because oddly enough, my parents aren't musical at all. But my brother and my cousin were well into it and successful at what they did. So I became attracted to it. That's kind of why I wanted to be a musician in the beginning. I mean, as far as bands growing up, I loved all kinds of great singers, really. Anyway, from Ronnie James Dio to Etta James. I just love people who could sing and put it out there and really sing, like Robert Plant, people like that, up to New Day, up to J.B. Cannon and Rival Sons. I'm a big fan of. Real singers singing rock and going balls out, and also they have a couple of different speeds, I call it, that they could sing acoustically, they could sing soft, and they could put the power to you. So I'm a big fan of that.
That's awesome, man. That's cool. All right. So how did you finally get in contact with Mike Mostert? How did that happen? He just kept bothering you. Was he trying to sell a go-go tuner to you, or, was, he stalking you? I mean, he said that he was really, trying to get a hold of you, and I guess form this in theory. So how did that happen?
Well, me and Mike been friends for a long time. We were actually, the first time I met Mike, we were in a band called Big Mouth, which we got signed to EMI in Japan. And he actually came down on an audition to be the guitar player. And that's how I met Mike. And ever since then, we've been, great friends, best friends.
Wow.
So when we, after Big Mouth, the timing was never right or whatever it was. And we've always done stuff in music. We've always, written for TV shows, and we have stuff on movies and things like that. But an actual band that really came to fruition with In Theory up until maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when we started seriously saying, hey, let's do this. Let's do it. Because me and Mike don't do anything half-assed. So if we're going to do it, we're doing it, and like when we did these new songs, our competition and what's on the radio, like all the big bands, we didn't want to just do a cool record that our friends liked. We wanted to really kick ass and put it out there and be like, we got to be better than we've ever been.
Okay.
And that was our focus. And, now's the time. Like, we're gonna do
Same
it.
level.
Yeah, and if
we
and
want
if
to
the
be
vocals
we want to
know,
be
then-
same level as what we feel that people are as the great bands.
right.
That was very important for us.
All right. So what would be the ingredients of a great band in your mind? Or what would be the ingredients of a song that should be heard on the radio?
Well, I can. Well, you want to ask Tony, or you want to ask me? Who do you want to answer that?
You guys work it amongst yourselves.
All right, Tony. I got the Dr. Pepper for you. I think. I mean, for me, what makes a great? You're asking what makes a great song or what should be on the radio. I think in this case, in theory, I really wanted to push. I feel that we pushed the envelope from a genre standpoint by incorporating many different genres, and still had to be hard rock. So I want to keep one foot into hard rock, but there's a southern element, and not southern as in southern rock, but almost like a swampy element. Then you add almost like a Soundgarden vocal, and then you add, like a little bit of the. We brought in Clayton, who's just Muscle Shoals legends. He sold about 400 million records or so, and that kept just enough of the Muscle Shoals sound. So combining hard rock, a little bit of metal. There's even parts where we drop out the live drums. We bring in techno drums and doing this, like Rage Against the Machine type of guitar work underneath with the gospel choir. So I wanted to add all these elements, but make them seamless. Like I didn't want to be out of box. Like, oh, they're going from this to this. I want to make sure, I want to like have all the influences there, but not out of the box, where it had to make sense to the song. And for me, that's what was making a great song. And then of course the icing is, I think, lyrically where we went with this. We dug really deep about the messaging of the lyrics, and I think that's another thing that if you listen deeper to the lyrics, obviously it's a big chorus, and the chorus hits you over the head, but the messaging is deep. It's people are going to think the song is about heroes, but it's actually an anti-hero song. It's about questioning who your heroes are, questioning authority, question what you're seeing on the news, and all these, like Tony said, a lot of times, even like the way that TV and media is, they're creating these in a way false idols and reality stars, and these people are looking up to these reality stars as their heroes. And if you want to get into it slightly, into politicians, and and that's why that's the really big line of the song. Who are your heroes, and do they lie? So it's really just questioning the listener and making them think while they're getting their ass kicked by like major hard rock.
All right, that's awesome. We're going to play it in a little bit. I'm glad you explained the background of the song and the meaning of the song and all of those things. And as you were talking, I started to think one of the issues that I think most people, the trap they fall into is the lack of critical thinking skills. It's so easy to repeat what you hear on the radio. It's so easy to repeat what the talking head on the news will tell you. It's so easy to, go, oh yeah, with that politician that you hook yourself to. I think, it's a good idea to really think about what freedom means and freedom of speech means, and what the fabric of this country is truly about. And, think about, instead of acquiring all these material goods, which really are not going to help you in the long run, it's time for us to really focus on a very basic thing: love thy neighbor. And what is this love really about? And, you don't have to be famous to be a hero. You don't have to be very super talented to be a hero. You don't have to be a famous actor. You don't have to be a musician. You could really be a hero to one of your kids. You can really be a hero to one of your neighbors by just making sure that you're concerned about them instead of always being concerned about yourself. And then the whole reality television thing has been a real curse for most of us. And it goes to MTV. MTV, I think, ruined a whole generation of people in their thinking. We'll play the song in a minute. But I just keep thinking of the real world, where everybody's really good looking and they're having a lot of real fun and they're living in a really cool house. But you know what none of them have? A real job. So I was like, how's that for reality? Just my thoughts I'd like to share. And then we're also going to talk about something that's epidemic in this country right now that we've been focusing on the past few months here at New HD. But before we go any further, let's play the new track from In Theory. You can get more information at intheoryband.com. This is Hero.
Just believe in me. Can you testify? World of trust and blame in my mind. Is it in my mind? I see, but am I blind? In my mind, I see, but am I blind?
totally awesome. Heroes from In Theory. Where was this recorded, guys?
It was recorded in Muscle Shoals,
I thought so.
and except for the drums, I did in Santa Monica with.
Okay, great.
We had a guest drummer on that one, Andy Sinisi. He's from Missing Persons.
Okay.
And then I brought the fine Lanisha Lattimore from Stevie Wonder's band, and we recorded her vocals, background vocals in Oxnard. And then Tony cut his vocals in New York, and then everything else was
Where, Tony,
Muscle Shoals.
where did you actually, what part of your house did you record the vocals?
Well, I there was a local studio in town that
I see.
that I went to. We cut the. It's a friend of mine, so.
Uh-huh. Oh,
You know,
cool. Well,
he
it
did
sounds
it there.
great. I mean, the song is tight. It sounds like something that sound fantastic on the radio, which is, I think, one of your objectives. It's as strong as anything I've heard. What now? I remember one time, Mike, you telling me when we were talking about the Go-Go Tuner family, you were telling me that you were experimenting and you had something in mind that was Led Zeppelin like. So I guess the In Theory song that we just heard was kind of where you were going with that.
Absolutely. If you hear the, especially like the intro riff, so it's definitely like a Zeppelin type of riff, meaning it's open G tuning on a 12 string. It's something you'd hear off of like a Zeppelin one, but a bit more aggressive, and if you add like I said, the Muscle Shoals, you add the Hammond, and then you can think almost like a John Paul Jones, and the bassist plays a combination almost like a John Paul Jones meets, like the bass player from Stone Temple Pilots. But yeah, this is what I was talking about, where it's going to be Zeppelin-ish in a way. But I want to make, like I said, a modern Zeppelin or a swampy Soundgarden. I think that was sort of my goal on all this.
All right. Well, what do you think, Tony? When I was listening, I saw your reaction. You are the first person that I've had on this program that actually showed emotion and was singing along with the song. Mike just sat there listening, like, I was like, I don't know if you saw me, but I was having a good time. So I don't know what was going on with Mike with his smoky hat, but you and I seem to really have a good time listening to the song. When you hear it, what are some of the feelings you have about it?
Is that for Mike?
Yeah,
That's
no,
for you.
for you, Tony.
Oh, for me to feel the song?
Yeah. You were having a good time listening. Mike was stoic. You were having a good time. I could see you singing along with the song. I was having a good time, but Mike, he had his smoky hat on, like he was a cop, sitting there, like, that
Right.
kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I hear the song and I want to be on stage singing it. So I replay all the parts in my head. I know how I felt when I sang each line, and I just love the song, and I love what we're doing. So when I hear it, I just want to bang my head, honestly, and I'm proud of it.
Now here's a great question that I think a lot of people, well, this might help a potential person who's thinking about becoming a rock singer, any kind of singer at all. When you get the lyric sheet, okay, when you have the lyrics in front of you and you kind of get the idea of the sonic presentation of the song and where it's going, because let's face it, like in the history of rock and roll, when we hear some of the demos, they sound nothing like the completed version. So when you're in Long Island and you got Mike, I guess he was down in Alabama or wherever, and he got the other musicians in Santa Monica and Oxnard, and I guess that was after you did your vocals. What kind of process do you go of thinking, all right, here's how I'm going to sing this, and I'm going to use this style, and I'm going to do this kind of note. How do you like come up with a formula of how you're going to express yourself vocally when you sing? Because I don't think I've ever asked anybody that question before. I guess it's a good one.
Right. I don't really. I mean, honestly, that's just how I sing is my style. I mean, what we did purposely is we started experimenting with some different tunings on the songs, and I think it brought out something different in my voice, because I'm singing in different ranges and things like that. But as far as me thinking about a formula, I mean, basically, we were going back and forth with it. We just wanted to be an honest, raw song, and we're not worrying about perfection. We're worrying about emotion. Not unlike Robert Plant, Led Zeppelin, or J.B. Cannon, Rival Sons, or any rock song, old school Deep Purple, things like that. It was great vocals. It was passionate vocals, and that's what we were trying to accomplish.
Good answer to that. It's just one of those things. I'm always curious of how people do what they do. Honest question. I mean, I get those kind of questions like, what made you think to go with those combination of songs, or how did you come up with that segue, or why did you put it that way? I think, like all of us, you study all of these masters and you kind of emulate them in many ways, and then you put out your own masterpiece. And I explain it to people. Well, it's a palette of sound. I can't really explain it to you, but I just know I have this things that I can choose from mentally and place them where I want. So that's my process, in case anybody's wondering. What about you, Mike? What directs you and how you're going to play guitar on a track?
I have to say it changes day to day. Depends how much I've been practicing actually, and if my technique is on that day or off. For instance, I mean, I can reference, say, in this case, like Heroes, and actually probably the first three songs that you'll hear off this record. A part of it is, again, like, I always call these happy accidents, or these things that have been, or coincidences, or fate. In this case, Heroes musically was written in a lot of ways by accident. Tony and I had written the ballad on a 12-string with the called open G tuning, is what they do with a lot of old blues songs. And while I was in the studio, the engineer was doing whatever he does in the control room, and as I'm waiting for him, I'm just in the live room. I'm just playing, and that riff came up, down there, the opening riff of Heroes, and I just knew instantly, like, yeah, that's going to be a great song. And to be quite honest, Zach, I think I wrote that song in about 15, 20 minutes.
I'm not surprised to hear that. I can't tell you how many times I've interviewed people. I go, well, how long did it take you to write that? I did it 5 minutes. All right. I did 5 minutes, man. I was writing it to my chick. I did it in 5 minutes. Let's see. Mike Rutherford, he did that. The guys in Black Sabbath did Paranoid in 15 minutes after lunch break and drinking beer. Let's see. I think Babe by Styx was written in 5 minutes. What?
Yeah, but the funny thing is, like, we have a next song that's called the River Song. It's a little bit more. There's a little. You'll definitely hear Delta blues and swampiness in that. But that song took us months, 2 months, 3 months just to get right. So like, here's this. I think all the stars aligned just the way it was supposed to. Because that day when I was recording the other song, was called Memories. I had no intention of recording another song, so it was the gods of rock and roll were smiling that day.
Awesome. Now you can go to intheoryband.com, right? That's the website, I believe. Yeah. Mike,
yeah.
or Tony. And then how do you follow you on Facebook? What's your Facebook page?
It's in theory original at Facebook.
Okay, great. Fantastic. Thanks for doing that. I mean, we have usually the banners going up in Theory Band right now, but I want to shift before we play the song one more time and say goodbye. We are focusing on suicide prevention. I know a lot of people are having a hard time trying to get through this moment of history. I think everybody's experiencing it differently. Facebook and social media has become a problem because it's such a festulous sewer of bad ideas and bullies and creepy people and people not thinking about others when they make certain statements. For instance, the mask, and you get in a fight about that. Listen, you could be really creative with the mask and have fun with those things. That's what I do. Like I have horrible messages on my mask to share it with people. I have happy messages. I've got pictures. Here in New Jersey, we were hit really hard, especially where I live. As well as that, I do, Tony, in New York, all the old folks' homes. I'm right around the block from the veterans' home. It was just really bad. Then you got people who are losing their jobs and are out of work, and one challenge after another. So that brings us to issues about mental health and trying to get some help. And suicide rates are off the charts, especially with young people. So this is why we're making sure that every time we do a broadcast, and at least a few times during my shifts on the radio, I mention the suicide prevention hotline, 800-273-8255, 800-273-8255. Of course, there's the website below that you can see, suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Great resources. Keep it on your refrigerator, 800-273-8255. Write it down, put it in your wallet, keep it in your purse. When you have somebody that is really very depressed and they say certain things, you got to pay attention to the people around you. You might not think it's your own kid, but could be. Have discussions, find out how everybody's doing. Check in on your friends, check in on your neighbors, do whatever you can to help alleviate suffering on different levels. If you see something that's a problem, it's not somebody else's job to, solve it or do something about it. Another thing I've noticed over the past few months, stop taking photos of people in misery. Go in there and help them. There was a woman who, Tony, you probably saw this in the news. Some guy tried to rape her on the subway. Everybody's taking a picture, but nobody's stomping the guy's guts out, right? I mean, this is like basic,
Right.
I guess, being a decent human being. Stop taking pictures, move, do something. We'd probably alleviate a lot of problems. So something to think about. Always be there, present for people. Also talk to people if you're having problems. Talk to your priest, your pastor, your rabbi, social person, sociologist, psychologist, whomever, bartender. Bartenders are great. They're really good to talk to. Friends, family members. You got to talk.
I think I've gotten to speaking to a lot of bartenders lately.
Yeah, you have. See, they do have, they have some really good advice, right? So, they're willing to talk to you. And we can all be a little bit friendlier, and we don't have to make fun of people, and we don't have to bully, these things that I don't even know why we have to spend time talking about it, but it seems that, any opportunity I get, that's something that's the message I'm preaching. Your song Heroes, which we'll play before we'll say goodbye and play, speaks to, like, be careful of who your heroes are, really. And if you are being regarded as a hero, you got to really be very careful how you proceed in life, because people they're gonna feed off of that.
Yeah, well, there's a responsibility if you're a hero.
That's right. Okay, so thank you for spending time with us. We'll do this again. We'll do this when we are ready for the next song. In the meantime, people have the website, which we'll put up right now for In Theory Band. There you go, intheoryband.com. And I like to say goodbye, Godspeed. Thank you for spending time with us. And we are going to play Heroes one last time.
Thanks for having us, man.
Crank it up, Zach.
Take care.
Thank you.
Just believe in me. Can you justify world of trust and blame? In my mind, is it in my mind? I see, but am I blind? In my mind, I see, but am I blind? open my eyes. Who are your heroes? And do they lie? Who are your heroes? Well, listen live. Oh no. Yeah, what you say? You speak, but it's just the same. Just a dirty game. In my mind, is it in my mind? I'm feeling nothing. In my mind, I'm feeling nothing. Are you the one to open my eyes? Are you the one? 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 Oh, do you lie? Who are your heroes? And do